So next we have a game which we spoke a little bit about it last year, I guess, and now it's come to a final state or to a final prototype state.
Almost final, yes. This is Vampire the Masquerade Vendetta. As you can guess from what I just said, it's in the Vampire the Masquerade universe. We announced yesterday that we will have a Kickstarter campaign for this game on March 10. So check out if you want. Check it out. This is a game by Charlie Cleveland and Bruno Faidutti. I don't need to introduce Bruno Faidutti. Charlie Cleveland instead is a very famous video game developer. He made the most famous game he did is Subnautica. Maybe you heard of it, maybe not, I don't know. But he's very famous in the video game business. But this is his first board game, and this is a card game for 3 to 5 players. That usually gives you the kind of experience you get from living card games for 2 players. So you have your personal deck, that each deck is different and has a different strategy, and you build your hand as you go. But there's many people at the table, so there is a lot of competition, bluff, deception, and that kind of stuff. Each player chooses one of the clans from the setting. I don't know if you're familiar with the role-playing game.
Just a little bit.
Anyhow, just to explain for people at home that maybe don't know it either. A bit like in Dungeons and Dragons, you have orcs, humans, elves, and etc.
You have got Nosferatu, I guess.
Yes, we have different kinds of vampires. Nosferatus are disfigured. Each one has strengths and weaknesses. The weakness of the Nosferatu is that they are disfigured, but they are very strong and they have a strong connection with the shadows and they can see things, supernatural things. The Tremors are wizards. The Brujas are very strong fighters, but they have a really bad temper, just to make it very simple. The Malkavians are plain crazy. Multiple personalities, real crazy, and so on. So when you choose a clan at the beginning, you get that deck, and this changes the strategies you will be able to play during the game. You start the game with 3 cards. 2 are the same for all decks. So we have the Ready to Fight and the Hunt, 2 basic actions that everyone has, but the artwork is different in each deck. And then you also have, you draw 2 cards more. You choose one and you add it to your hand and you discard the other. You will probably never have it available during the same game. You will see almost all the cards of your deck, but you will only be able to keep some.
Some.
Yeah, 1 each round. So you build your strategy as you go. The goal of the game is to fight for the control of the city. The game is set in Chicago, and you do that by there are location tiles, each one with an ally card. This is not supposed to go there. This is another thing, but don't worry about it. You have human potential allies and vampires. Your goal is to gain control of these cards. Some of them also have special powers that you obtain when you have them, but all of them give you points at the end of the game. And you win. The player with the most points at the end wins and becomes the new prince of Chicago. The prince is the vampiric leader in this setting. So, to gain control of them, players will play cards from their hands. You can play them face up to show your intentions, or you can pay blood, of course, to play them face down and hide your strengths. Yeah. Or maybe you want to bluff, so you made the other players, they know you have a very strong card and you made them think you played it here, but it's actually a decoy and you plan to use it in another place, and you use a useless card that then then you can also later in the round you may also even decide to retreat, so you can really make bluffs, really strong bluffs. Each card has it activates in different parts of the round. So for example, these 2 cards activate at dawn, so at the beginning of the night, This one is activated at the end of the night, or not during the fighting phase. In this case, phase. So all players will be playing cards at the various locations, and when everybody is done, cards will be revealed, effects will be applied. You will check the total strength of the cards and the blood. You can also play blood on the location to increase your strength. You check which player has the highest strength in that location, and that player gains the card. You have to be careful with blood because you can spend it to make your fighting chances higher, but as you can see,
you need it for the cards as well.
And the cards of the other players, that is true, but the cards of the other players may have you lose blood. And if you run out of blood, this is another thing we took from the original role-playing game. Vampires, when they run out of blood, they go into a frenzy, it's called in the game. And basically they lose control and they need to feed. And this means that you will have to kill one of your allies to drink his blood. They also tell you how much blood you get when you kill them. But you don't want to do that because you will also lose the ability. If they had an ability, you lose it and you also lose the points. So you want to avoid that and you have to be careful about the blood you spend. The game lasts 3 rounds. During the game, you will learn the cards from the other players. So each round you discover a new thing and you have something you don't know. So you're always on the edge and you have to try to understand what kind of game the other players are trying to do. You are helped by the knowledge of the clans. So for example, if you know the Brujas, they are very strong in fight. If you have a clan that is weak at direct fighting, maybe you will avoid going into the same locations the Bruja went to, maybe. But sometimes you are forced to go into the same place. So I can go on and on about the nuances of this game, but it's very tactical and strategic at the same time.
What are you planning for the Kickstarter? The release or also some pledge goals?
We have a few ideas for stretch goals and also some nice add-ons, which we learned during our previous Kickstarter experiences that the players also like to have optionals that they can buy. So we are thinking about a few cool things. We found some new ideas here in Nürnberg too, because there's a lot of factories and producers, so that was nice. And also we plan, like we did for Unicorn Fever and Alone, you will have the option to get the game in English, of course, but also German, Spanish, French and Italian directly in the Kickstarter. And the game should be released later this year and for sure in time for Essen too. So you will find it at Spiel.
All right.
And that's it. Vampire the Masquerade Vendetta.
Great.